Can we have a roll call, Dina?
Commissioner Allen? Commissioner Butcher?
Here.
Commissioner Harris?
Here.
Chairperson Pike?
Here.
Commissioner Gordon?
Here.
Councilmember Graham? Commissioner Ibargwin?
Here.
Commissioner Ransberg?
Here.
Commissioner Stauffer? We have a quorum.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Does someone want to make a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support? Is there support?
Second.
Support. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Why don't we take a minute or two to review the minutes from the last meeting, which was from Thursday, August 3rd.
Wow.
Has everyone had a chance to review? Okay, does someone want to make a motion? Are there any changes to the minutes? Jean Cares makes a motion to approve the minutes. Is there support?
Seconded.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up on the agenda is public commentary. And I don't have any requests for anybody to speak, so we do not have any public commentary. Next on the agenda is special presentations and Washtenaw County prioritization.
Okay, hello, my name is Rosie. I'm here with Washtenaw County Parks. I'm here to talk to you about a land assessment and prioritization that we've been working on for the last year and a half. This is a data-driven project that our commission wanted us to carry out in order to get a better sense of goals and what land is out there still to preserve. So this is part of our Natural Areas Preservation Program. For those who aren't familiar with it, the county has a millage to protect natural areas and agricultural lands. And they are sort of overseen by our two advisory committees, the Natural Areas Advisory Committee called NATAC and the Agricultural Lands Preservation Advisory Committee, ALPAC. So these assessments and prioritizations that we came up with are in response to these guidelines, and in one way or another they all support these commission guidelines or directly address them. So this project, I'm going to take you through four sort of general steps of it. The assessment, which assesses all land in the county for its potential quality. Prioritization was the next step, which kind of whittled down all that land into a goal type thing based on various strategies. Then we did some partner input with townships, and then I'll tell you how we can use this information and how you can use this information. Since this is data-driven, I just thought I'd throw this out there. important things about data. First, this does not replace our site visits that we do, or expert opinions, qualitative analysis. And two, this is data. Data is not perfect. Just saying that. Just keep that in mind on any level that you start thinking of with data complaints. Okay. So we have two assessments that we made. They're broken by, or they're split by natural areas and agricultural land. To assess natural areas, we use the Bioreserve Assessment, which has been used by the Huron River Watershed Council for the last 10 years. It was created by University of Michigan. This assesses land, contiguous natural land, 20 acres or larger. So that's how you'll see these on the map. We, just as a note, we consider any size natural area for our program, but this is how we did this data. The agricultural assessment evaluates in-use, active agricultural properties' potential quality. It can be also any size ag land, but at least 50% in active ag. And that's a requirement for our program. This assessment was a digitization of what we already use to assess properties that are nominated to us, and just in a digital format. So we applied these to all land, again, in the property, or in the county, looking at an aerial, all that stuff. So this is the assessment of the natural areas. So all the green are the natural areas. It includes parks and preserves. Everything that's already been preserved was also assessed. We've broken it into 4 quality rankings: low, medium, high, and high, based on a score that they all got. And if you're interested in those scoring criteria, I can provide them to you. And then this is the result of the agricultural lands assessment. They kind of fill in the blanks. You can see that's like thousands of parcels. So again, this one was contiguous natural areas, regardless of any sorts of boundaries. This was by parcel. So every parcel in the county technically has a score. Also broken between low and high. And together, that's what they look like. They kind of, again, fill in the blanks, cover a lot of the county except for the developed areas. Look at all that nice land we have. So part of this, we wanted to make sure that it was assessing it right. So this is just an example of the assessment overlaid with things that have already been preserved. So some of these are just, these are just preserves there. Sharon Mills is ours, River Raisin is ours, Leonard Preserve. All of that dark green is high quality. So supposedly that means we've been doing a good job already preserving high quality stuff. Here's a little snapshot from some Greenbelt properties. All on the darker brown is higher quality. They're all on the highest quality ag land. So kudos. But this, sorry, I like to mess around here a lot. So this is like a lot of land. It doesn't tell us what we should be looking at for the future. It just tells us what's there. So we needed to go through this prioritization to do that. And in while working with other staff and NATAC and ALPAC and our commission, we came up with 5 strategies of how to prioritize land. So we took all medium, high, and high quality natural areas and ag land, and then put them through these 5 prioritization strategies. And if they met one of them, they were prioritized. They can also meet more than one. So the first one is corridors. Corridors are linear connections of land from one high quality habitat to another. That's kind of the natural area way of doing it. This was structural connectivity, not functional connectivity. So for the way this worked out in GIS was for the NATAC side, the natural area side. We looked at preserves owned by anybody, not just us, and other preserves, and basically drew lines among all of them. And where there were the most lines kind of became the corridors. For ag land, we did the same thing with conservation easements. Second strategy was patch expansion, so looking at something that's already preserved and then what natural areas and ag land is immediately around it. Third strategy is new patch establishment, looking at clusters of unprotected, high-quality land and calling that a patch and saying that's a priority. Fourth was, oh, did we just, oh yeah, we did have four, or five. The fourth one was, NATAC requested that we focus in on the Lake Plain ecoregion, which is an EPA designation. It covers just the bottom, or southeastern corner of the county, basically Augusta Township. So anything that was in there got prioritized. Fifth was stream protection. Anything that has a stream running through it got prioritized. That added like a ton to this prioritization. But all of the sites and parcels that you're going to see after this that got prioritized all are listed in our GIS database with what they were prioritized by. So you can see which one has like one prioritization, which one met one strategy, or which ones met all of them. So the assessment and adding all of those strategies produced these priorities. I'll show you the acreage in a second. But you can see it kind of reduces, obviously it reduces it a lot, and you can kind of see the corridor on there. It's the yellow thing. There are a couple of them. So to show you what these numbers sort of look like, because this looks like a lot of land to prioritize or to preserve, and it is, but we'll probably never preserve all of that. But two, it's looking long-term goals, using this as, like a tool to support decision-making, all that good stuff. But if, say, we were to preserve all of this, this is what this would look like, roughly. So this is our total county. This is what we have preserved so far, roughly. This is Greenbelt and then other properties. And if my numbers are, I have the most updated data available to me. And then these are our priorities, what that adds, approximately, over 100,000 acres. And all of that, if all of that land was preserved, added with what we already have preserved, it would 32% of our county would be protected. Isn't that nice? So then the third step after we did that GIS prioritization was we took this presentation to several townships, as well as Legacy Land Conservancy, mostly townships that have their own land preservation committees and funding in most, but not all cases. And they were generally found it very helpful. The newer committees, are interested in using it to, help them get money if their city council isn't giving them money or giving them a place to start. They really like that. And more seasoned committees like Ann Arbor and SIO are more like, okay, how exactly are you going to use this? So we're figuring that part out now. But for you and for us, what this is really good for is setting goals and strategies. Like we want to preserve this amount of land in this amount of time. This is kind of where we want to do it. Here's a good reason. In general, the easiest way to use it is a data tool to support any decision you're making. If you need another reason to convince some other part of the government that you need to spend money on something, this is a way to do it. A lot of the way the townships were interested in using it is taking the assessment, reprioritizing it based on their township only, since ours is relative to the whole county, and then using it that way, and we've done that for them. And we're trying to incorporate these priority lands into our formal process of evaluating nominations. We're working that out. You can use this to determine what we would be more likely to partner with you on, because, again, trying to incorporate it into our formal process. And then we intend to use it for some outreach eventually, trying to get the high quality stuff in places where we haven't spent a lot of money yet, like Augusta and Saline. That being said, here is your Greenbelt and what the priorities in your Greenbelt are according to us. This is kind of perpetually a draft because we want to make sure that we are getting all of the township's priorities wrapped up in here one way or another, that they think it's okay, that we're using good criteria, and we're taking their concerns into account. And in general, the communication with all of these various different committees has been very beneficial to us and to them, I would think. That is all. Any questions?
Thanks, Rosie. I had a question about outreach to communities that don't have a land preservation program, and if you've done that, and how that has been viewed by those communities.
We haven't done it yet. We haven't gotten there yet. We've had conversations with a couple of the places that do already have those committees, as well as ALPAC and NATAC, and our committees are supportive of it, but mostly recommend first starting by kind of doing more advertising for our program in general, kind of saying like, here's what because we haven't done a lot of this, here's what we've protected with all of this money, this is what your land could be, this is what our program's about, just kind of doing that first, and making sure that if and when we do start doing that, we have the capacity to actually purchase or contribute funds to those easements or lands that we did outreach to in the first place.
Could you remind me when the millage was put in place for the county? What year that was?
2010. It expires at the end of 2019. That's right. Right? I think so. Yeah.
Are there any other questions from Greenbelt members?
I've got a couple. Great presentation, thank you. Did you say it was Legacy Land Trust? Whose prioritization template kind of informed what you do?
It was, we created it. It was
okay.
In conversation with NATAC and ALPAC, with our
Okay.
advisory committees.
And-
And general sort of ecological principles, I guess.
Well, that's what I
corridors.
wanted to ask about. So the ecological, what's reflected here seemed to really be wonderfully informed by creating corridors or coherent pieces of property. But that in turn was informed also by things like soil quality or biodiversity? How do
Yes.
those two play together?
The assessments, particularly speaking of talking about traditional ecological principles, I guess, the natural area stuff was informed by soils and restoration potential and presence of wetlands and all of those kind of environmental criteria. And all of those went into a score that ranked it high or low.
And was that using the Watershed Council's
Yes.
bioreserve
Correct.
assessment?
Okay.
Yeah, and the agricultural one was ours, and that measures, it has various measures for development potential, so there's like septic suitability, distance to existing sewers, there's just farmland characteristics like percentage of prime soils, scenic qualities like road frontage.
Okay.
Similar to some of the criteria that we use when we
Yeah,
assess
it's modeled off
properties.
of ASAP
Okay.
applications.
And maybe feeds into my last question, which is, are you able to identify, or does this tool help in any way in looking at potential threats to some of these areas, either from development or?
Not in itself. Again, we have, for agriculture, we have that measure. But this, I don't think the natural areas takes that into account. So my answer would be no,
Okay,
in general.
all right, thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks, Rosie. Okay, next up on the agenda is the Summer Greenbelt Internship presentation by Kriya. Thanks for coming back to do this for us.
Yeah, of course, I'm happy to. It's nice to be back. It feels like it's been a really long time. Okay, so my name's Kriya. I've met a lot of the board members before, but I'm a master's candidate at the School for Environment and Sustainability at University of Michigan. There I study environmental informatics and environmental justice. But this summer I had the privilege of working with the Greenbelt program. It was a really amazing experience. It let me take on a leadership role and initiative to build on my skills with land conservation and local government work, so I really appreciated that. So I was asked to come today just to kind of give updates on what happened during my internship and also kind of give information on the new material that is out there that I worked on. So hopefully this will set it up so that another intern from a graduate program at University of Michigan can intern next summer. So the major tasks that I worked on were assisting with the University of Michigan's Greenbelt Master's Project, creating a long-term communications plan, revamping the Greenbelt social media presence, creating, compiling, and updating communication material, updating the Greenbelt spatial GIS data layers, and assisting with Greenbelt events. So we actually have a member of the Master's Project here, but you might be wondering, what is a Master's Project? So basically, it's an interdisciplinary group project taken on by master's students at the School for Environment and Sustainability. And they work closely with a faculty advisor and a community organization, in this case the Greenbelt, to propose solutions to real-world environmental issues. So this particular master's project is measuring and describing the economic, social, and ecological impacts of the Greenbelt millage, and keep an eye out for their results in April. But my role in this is I help to do the first round of alerting potential study participants that the study has started and letting them know how they can get involved. So I basically help send out and put together letters with small inserts and pre-stamped envelopes so people could easily say, I'm interested in participating, I'm interested in an interview, basically giving them flexibility for how they want to be involved in this project. I then wrote an interview guide to gauge landowners' experience with the Greenbelt program. This ended up being both an interview guide and an economic impacts questionnaire. So Jean Cares so graciously let me practice a survey with her, which allowed me to revise the guide based on the correct wording and respectful questioning on with a real landowner in the Greenbelt. Yeah, so that was the bulk of my work with the master's project. I also worked on the communications plan, which is basically a comprehensive document that lays out a strategy to increase public awareness and public support for the Greenbelt program. Unfortunately, this isn't ready for the public today, but it will hopefully be ready by the next meeting in December. And the plan, although it says 2018 on this slide, it should actually, the final version, run until about 2020. So obviously the overall communications objective was to increase support and awareness of the Greenbelt. But my communication plan laid this out in several different steps. So the first being increasing the frequency that landowners and the public hear from the Greenbelt. The second being establish a Greenbelt social media presence that is distinct from Parks and Recreation. Previously, Parks and Rec had been sending out Greenbelt updates and things like that, but they are distinct entities, so it's important to have its own way to get information out there. Next, I focused on broadening the audience for Greenbelt updates through these social media platforms and developing communication tools to reach public and landowners who don't actually use internet communication to get information. So the target audiences were Ann Arbor taxpayers, landowners, both existing landowners and potential landowners who would be interested in the Greenbelt, partner organization, and interested individuals who live in the greater Ann Arbor area and beyond. So next month you'll be able to see what is actually in that plan, but it includes things like action items for each communication platform, messaging, how to judge the best times to post, an elevator speech, strategies for communicating with stakeholders offline, activity plans, targets, communication bank, things like that. So that leads me to the social media presence of the Greenbelt. So what you see on the screen here is just screenshots from the Twitter page, which is on the left, and the Facebook page, which is on the right. And you can see the Halloween post that went out on Tuesday. So I set up a Hootsuite, Facebook, Twitter, and Greenbelt listserv. And then within the communications plan, there's detailed instructions on how to operate these, the internal plan. I used Hootsuite, which is basically an online tool that allows you to schedule posts and pictures and continuous Twitter feeds in advance. So I was able to schedule over a year and a half worth of statuses and posts that will go out on these Twitter and Facebook. They go out twice a week, so that means the public is hopefully hearing from the Greenbelt, well, is hearing from the Greenbelt more often than it had been. So the agreed upon goal for how many people were following these pages was 150 150 Facebook followers and 75 Twitter followers by January of 2018. We established these just from looking at similar pages that other city governments had. And we are well on our way to that number. We currently have 127 out of the 150 Facebook followers and 68 out of the 75 Twitter followers. So that's good news. So in addition to this, I helped do some updates on the Greenbelt webpage, but the thing, oh yeah, this does let me. So the thing I wanted to point to is there's now an area on the webpage where you can directly click to the Facebook and Twitter pages of the Greenbelt, and also click on this to directly sign up for the Greenbelt updates. So that makes it more streamlined for people to find these social media pages, just by going to the Greenbelt homepage.
What's it called? Hootsuite?
Oh,
Hootsuite.
Hootsuite?
Yeah, hoot like an owl and
Oh,
then suite like a
Hootsuite,
hotel
okay.
suite. Yeah. Yeah. So as I mentioned, another part of my internship was creating, compiling, and updating communications material. So the Greenbelt had a lot of material already, which I was just able to update, and then I also created some of my own. So this included brochures, newsletter templates, flyers, infographics, postcards, certificates, all this good stuff. Those are just images of some of the work I did. In addition, I spent some time with the Greenbelt's GIS data layers. So basically, through some public events, we found that people were really interested in knowing when Greenbelt properties were accessible to them. So we thought that making a data layer that showed which parks were at least partially paid for by the millage would be helpful. So we can give them a brochure saying, oh, these are the parks you can attend, and they were also funded by the Greenbelt millage to increase public support. So basically, I updated and did some digitization to create these layers, which can be used in the future to make updated Greenbelt maps. So lastly, I also assisted with Greenbelt events, which were really, really fun. On the left is me at the Mayor's Green Fair, and on the right is the Greenbelt bus tour. They were both really informative, and it was fun to actually get out and talk to people and see how they actually perceived what the Greenbelt was doing. And also, the cool thing was that I was able to live post to the social media pages during these events. So that was kind of an interesting new way to reach the public who weren't actually able to attend these events. Yeah, so now I just wanted to take any questions people have, if anyone has any.
I don't have a question, but I really want to thank you. You did a lot of work in a short time, and it's going to benefit all of us.
Good, yeah. Yeah, also thank you. This was a really amazing experience, and I hope that somebody is able to do a similar project and take on where I left off. It's very beneficial.
Yeah.
Are these your images? Are these your photos? Or?
So some of them are from the Greenbelt tour this year. I won't flip through them. Some of them are from the Greenbelt bus tour, but most of these images are just Greenbelt images that were on, that are in the Greenbelt listserv
Okay.
that Ivan LaBianca, I think his name? Yeah, and other photographers had taken, so.
Okay.
Well, it's very impressive. I want to second Robert's recognition of the work that you've done this summer. It's, if you all haven't signed up for following the Greenbelt
Yeah.
on Twitter and Facebook, I would encourage you to.
Yeah,
I
the
did.
links are here too.
I'm one of the 127 Facebook followers and 68 Twitter followers. So we want to get up to 150 and 75. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good goal to have. But this has been great, and we hope that another summer intern can take it where you've created this for us. So and your work lives on with the future posts. So
Yeah, yeah, it's funny
we
to see
truly
those
appreciate it.
like whenever I log on.
And that was going to be my other comment. So you're teaching a class, you've got a section, and so you can talk up the need for another summer intern next
Yeah.
summer, and you
Mhm.
can guide them how to get paid, get
Yeah.
themselves paid for it. So that would be great.
Yeah, definitely.
I just wanted to add that all of us on the communication subcommittee really appreciated interacting with you, and we have a small thank you for you. Part of it might look familiar to you. And I don't know, should I go around or can I just hand it to you? And we really appreciate all that you did and all that you showed us was possible because, I mean, you just took such incredible initiative. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. That was unexpected. Cool.
I think we should give her a round of applause.
Yes.
Thank you. This was a really amazing experience, so I'm very happy. And it was great to meet you all too, especially everyone on the communications committee who I spent a lot of time with. And Ruth, obviously. Yeah, okay. Any last questions? Cool. I guess I'll close this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kriya. Okay, next up on the agenda is old business. Does anyone have any old business? No. Moving on to new business, first on the agenda is staff updates. Ruth? And then under staff updates is the C's project update.
Great. And first of all, I did want to say thank you to Kriya. She did such a wonderful job. It was a pleasure working with her. She showed great initiative. It was super easy being her lead worker over the summer because she needed almost no guidance. It was really wonderful. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate your help. Okay, going on. First, a quick financial update. As of September 30th, we have in the Greenbelt balance of the millage, $5.7 million, in the parks balance, 5.8.
What was it? I'm sorry. What was the first amount?
It's 5.7 million, and then 5.8 for the parks portion, for a total of approximately 11.5 million right now. And I wanted to give a quick update on the University of Michigan C's project, master's project, and we actually have one person here from the 4 students who are helping us with that. We're currently finalizing the survey to mail out to Ann Arbor residents, which will be randomly selected to receive the survey. They will also be making contacts with landowners in the Greenbelt program shortly this fall, I understand it, for both case studies and more in-depth interviews with individual Greenbelt landowners that Kriya had helped with the interview guide. And they are finalizing the land cover methodology to assess the ecological quality of the Greenbelt easements. And the end date is expected to be April 2018. And I don't know if you have any other questions, since Devin is here, that she might be able to answer.
And Shannon is still advising on the Shannon Brines. Is he assisting somewhat on the?
So we have a lot of advisors.
You can come up to the mic.
Yeah, we have technically a faculty advisor, and since Shannon is technically not faculty, Catherine Rising, who is very familiar with the Greenbelt.
Yes, she served on the, for those of you who are new, Catherine served on the Greenbelt Commission and was chair for a short time.
So Catherine is technically our faculty advisor, but we've been receiving input from Shannon, Catherine, and then Michael Moore, who is an environmental economic professor at C's. He's helping with our survey, so we've kind of gotten the full gamut of expertise.
Great.
Not to put you on the spot, but are there ways that we can help as a commission?
Not that I'm aware of. We're kind of in a transition right now. We're trying to get the survey out. We're trying to get a lot of things done right now. So just your support, and when the survey goes out, if your neighbor gets one, tell them to take it, please. But yeah, we're hoping to, well, we're all hoping to graduate in April, so we'll have results to you then. Yeah, but if you have any questions about the project or what we're doing, Ruth, I'm sure, can give you an email or answer questions, because she is definitely aware of what we're doing as well.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, moving on to, I sent out a draft version of the annual report, and I also have printed out versions here and for the public if anybody's interested, if you wanted to take a look at that. And I requested any comments back, so this will be both for the Greenbelt portion and for the parks portion. If you have any other comments, please let me know. Jen already got some comments back to me that I incorporated into the newest draft. But that, the plan is hopefully to have it approved very soon and to bring it to LAC, the Land Acquisition Committee of the Parks Advisory Commission, at their next meeting, and then to have it approved and to get it up to the folks at the city staff media, to have it added graphics and made all pretty and then put on the webpage.
And then we can post it to Facebook.
Yes, absolutely. So does anybody have any questions or comments on that at this point? Are you in a position to approve your portion of the Greenbelt report at this point?
Well, I've reviewed and made comments, and so I'm not sure if anybody else has any input.
Yeah, I've reviewed it, seemed to make sense to me.
Okay, that's good.
Did the goals change from 17 to 18 at all?
The goals are very, very similar, yeah.
I thought so.
With the number of properties, and if you just want to spell that out.
Correct, yeah, and then I also added a goal of finalizing the communications plan that Kriya had made a really, really good start at. So the goals for fiscal year 2018, which is the next one, would be the building blocks of protected properties, which is identical to the last fiscal years, which is to complete at least 3 transactions this year in the Greenbelt strategic plan blocks. Then to leverage funds, so to apply for USDA agricultural conservation easement grant funds on at least 2 properties, to secure at least 20% matching funds on all transactions completed, and to secure at least 1 partner for all transactions. And those 3 are also identical to the last ones. And then for outreach, there are 3 goals: organize the annual bus tour in spring 2018, have a table at the Mayor's Green Fair and any other appropriate event, and to finalize the communication plan with the subcommittee. And that last one was added on from the other ones.
Does it help you if we approve it right now?
Sure.
Does someone want to make a motion to approve the annual report?
I'd be happy to. I move to
John.
approve it.
John, is there support?
I'll second that.
Stephanie? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
There you go, Ruth. Thank you. And then lastly, had a quick projects update. We had one project close recently, the Leda Rolling Acres in Ann Arbor Township, approximately 38 acres, which was an Ann Arbor Township-led project, closed on October 26th. So we're standing at just a tad over 5,000 acres total protected by the Greenbelt program to date. Okay, and that was it for my staff update, if you have any questions.
Okay, thanks, Ruth.
Thanks.
Moving on, next, do we have any proposed next agenda items for the next meeting scheduled for December? I think the communications plan will hopefully be ready to go and be approved at the next meeting. And then our normal items. Anybody? Okay. The next item on the agenda is closed session to discuss land acquisition. Does someone want to make a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make it. Me, Siri.
Siri? Is there a second?
Second?
Doug? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Closed session it is.
And for those of you in the audience, we're going to go back into this room here to confer privately. We might be in there for upwards of half an hour, 45 minutes. If you all are here, part of your course requirement. I don't know if we need to sign any slips for you all, but you can probably duck out at this point. You all have to stay. Oh, no, just kidding. Okay.
So, yeah, we don't need a vote to come back out. It was just a vote if we
Vote to
have
go in.
We need a
something
vote to go
on the
back
table.
into session?
I don't think
I
so.
think she just calls it back.
Oh, good, I'm glad.
No, I think we just call it back.
Okay,
Yeah, because we have nothing to vote on.
okay.
Okay, we're back from closed session. The next item on the agenda is public commentary, and there is no public here currently. Next item is communications. Is there a report from the Communications Committee, other than Kriya's presentation?
I don't think so.
Well, except, didn't we agree that we were gonna have, well, the communication plan that Kriya put together was quite extensive. Ruth did a great job of dividing it into the public plan and the internal plan. And we will present the
The public plan.
Overall
public
plan.
plan. Yeah.
The the part that
next
doesn't
meeting.
share the passwords that
Right,
give people private access to the food service.
yeah. That's it.
Yeah, we'll present on it. We'll present on the communications plan at the next session.
Great. Thank you. Report from commission committees. The executive committee met prior to this meeting. John, do you want to give a brief update, or Stephanie, either one?
Stephanie, I defer to you.
Or I can.
Jennifer is doing a great job leading both the commission and the executive committee.
So what we discussed at the executive committee was the agenda items for this meeting and some potential properties that were brought into closed session. And we also discussed the communications plan. Okay. I don't think there are any other active committees. But one thing I wanted to mention is, as we, Ruth sent out the roster for the Greenbelt Commission, and it would be helpful to have more members of the commission that serve on some of our committees. So when there's a turnover in commission members, that we don't lose some of the knowledge that the existing members have when they leave. So just something to consider, that we do look for another member of the executive committee and also additional members to the communications committee as well. All right, the last item on the agenda is adjournment. Does someone want to make a motion?
So moved?
Support from someone?
Support?
Stephanie? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? We're adjourned.
Jennifer, I'm sorry, I was supposed to.